Alright, what's going on everyone out there on YouTube? NES Ruler, and welcome to a brand new review. And this time around we'll be checking out a film that was sent to me review by Scorpion Films, and you can pick this up on Blu-ray at all your favorite online retailers. It is a film from the year 1968 called The Wicked Die Slow. So this film was released in 1968. This is a Cannon film, pre-Globus and Glohan, who of course came in and made Cannon what it was. But this is a movie that came out before they came in and bought Cannon and turned it into what we know it is today. And this film, oh man, this movie is complete and utter garbage. I usually don't like to come on here and bash the movies that I review because I always try to find something positive from every movie that I watch, even if they're really, really bad. But this movie just stinks. I'm sorry to say. It's just not very good. You could tell that it was made during the spaghetti western craze, and they were trying to cash in on the grindhouse spaghetti western craze that was booming up in America in the late 1960s. And this movie came out. You could tell it was shot in one location. It's not even a Wild West town. It looks like they shot it in the middle of a field somewhere in Massachusetts. It doesn't even look like the Wild West or anything like that. The setting never changes throughout the entire film. It's just really boring and bland to look at. The plot is pretty much non-existent, that we'll get into in a little bit. I mean, there's a little things that piece it together, but it's basically just a movie that is trying to shock and be your typical grindhouse fare. And ultimately, it just doesn't work. The acting is trash. The effects, not good. They're trash. So overall, it's a really poor execution from this movie. So basically, I'm going to try to explain this plot the best I can. We follow, because it bounces all over the place with all these different characters, and it doesn't really ever connect. Basically, follow this outlaw and his sidekick, and basically what they do is they go around and they murder all these sleazy guys who are raping all these women throughout the countryside that they're supposedly riding against, even though they're in the same setting the entire time. So basically, this happens because his girlfriend gets raped by these 4 Native Americans, and they're supposed to be going after these Native Americans and hunting them down, but the next scene they just end up killing them, and that's basically about it. So after they kill these Native Americans that raped his guy's girlfriend, they just ride along the countryside and come across other women getting raped, and they murder the guys who are raping these women. And that's basically the plot. I mean, there's not much in it. There's like this preacher guy who gets high on coke, this preacher bounty hunter guy who gets stoned on coke, and he goes around and he tries to catch people who are wanted. Nothing to do with the story, but it's in there at the beginning, and then it never really fleshes out anything in that anywhere else in the film. He shows up, he hunts somebody, he kills them, and then that's basically about it. And then the third act of the film, we're introduced to this outlaw bounty hunter group leader. He's the most interesting character in this movie. He's this crazy outlaw leader. At least he's semi-entertaining. If there's one positive in this movie, I would probably say it's the outlaw leader that we meet in the third act of this movie. But besides that, it's pretty just your typical cut and dry grindhouse film that is just really uninteresting, doesn't look good, and you could tell that it was probably made in 7 days in a field, like I said, in New Jersey. Unfortunate, but, you know, this is pre-Globus and going Cannon, where they really didn't try hard. At least later on when they took over the studio, and of course they didn't make the best movies, but at least their movies were entertaining, and they had some production value to them and some names, and at least those movies, which we all know and love, were at least, you know, semi-stomachable. I just think this one is just not that good whatsoever. And like I said, I don't like to try and bash movies too hard. During these reviews, of course, I time in the 22 Shots of Moods in Order podcast, I would get on movies a little bit more harder, but with these kind of reviews, I like to at least give the studio the benefit of the doubt and not totally bash the films that they are releasing. But this movie, it's just not that good, and I can't recommend it. I feel like a lot of people feel this way too. I mean, I knew right away the opening shot of this movie is a girl wearing Daisy Dukes tending to a horse, and I knew right away what this movie was going to be just based on that shot, because it's absolutely ridiculous that it's supposed to be taking place in the Wild West and she's wearing Daisy Duke shorts. This is absolutely fucking ridiculous, but that's what we get. So The Wicked Die Slow, it's just a really poorly executed spaghetti western grindhouse American film that came out in the late 1960s, and there's not much to it, all about the shock value and the nudity and the raping and all that stuff. So the release from Scorpion, the transfer, it's pretty good. Pretty decent. It's not the best transfer that I've seen from Scorpion, but it's good enough. And this is the first time that it is presented uncut, whatever that means, and in the original scope aspect ratio. So I guess when it came out, of course, it was shown mainly on VHS when it got a home video release, so it was 4:3. But this is the first time that it's released in widescreen scope and uncut. And then also you have a brand new interview with one of the writers. Interesting to hear him talk about this movie and somewhat bring up what he was trying to do with this plot, because it really doesn't have a plot nor script. So the fact that they even got this guy to talk about this movie is pretty interesting. It was interesting to hear him talk about the script because, like I said, the script's pretty much non-existent. It's pretty much just bullet points that are hit throughout the film. So The Wicked Die Slow. Can't recommend this one too much. It's not very good. But if you guys like spaghetti westerns from the late 60s that are sleazy and from Grindhouse era, you're probably going to want to pick this one up. The disc, just basic disc art, and then you got your cover and your back. So that is my review of The Wicked Die Slow from 1968. If you guys want to pick this up, you can do so at all your favorite online retailers. If you guys like this review, please give it a thumbs up, and as always, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/NESRuler22. Hope everybody's doing well, and I shall see you guys soon. See you guys.